Hi, Intermediate 1. We are about to go over different depreciation methods. The problem that we're going to go over states the following. Curtis Coal Company purchased a new mining machine at a total cost of $900,000. So the cost of the machine is $900,000. On the first day of its fiscal year. That's important as well because that's stating that it's not a partial year depreciation. The firm estimates that the machine has a useful life of 6 years or 6 million tons of coal and a residual value of $60,000. Residual value and salvage value has the same meaning. That is what the asset will be worth after it's fully depreciated. Okay, so that's when it's fully depreciated, when it's still on the company's books. That's what it will be sitting there for, $60,000, if they've fully depreciated it. Okay, and then it says, okay, the following actual tons. So it has year 1, tons of coal. We're going to need that when we do units of production or units of output. That's what your textbook calls it. So if you've worked in accounting before and you've used different books, one textbook calls it units of activity. Another one calls it units of production. Yours calls it units of output, same type of steps that you will do. Okay. They want you to do double declining, straight line, and units of production. All right, so let me put this book down and let's go back to the board. All right. So to keep everybody motivated and to not make this video too long and boring, I've already set up the problem. Reason being, straight line, as you already know, is very simple. All you're going to do is you're going to take the cost minus the salvage value, all right? And your book calls it residual value. So pardon me, residual value. I work with a lot of different textbooks. 900,000 minus 60,000, that's the residual value. You divide that by the life of the asset, and they're saying 6 years. Straight line is the easiest when it's purchased in the beginning of the year because it will be exactly the same every single year. So the depreciation is 140,000. So again, I completed this schedule to not make this video too long. All right, so here's what you'll do in the lab. Year 1, you'll put in depreciation expense. The cost is 900,000. Accumulated depreciation, it's year number 1, so it's exactly the same. Remember, accumulated depreciation accumulates. It's going to carry a balance from year to year. Book value, write this in your notes right now. Book value is determined by taking cost minus residual value, or cost minus salvage value, same meaning. That will equal book value. So please write that in your notes. You're going to do that a lot in this exercise. All right, so you would take the cost minus the accumulated depreciation. That gives you the net book value. Year 2, exact same amount, depreciation expense, cost minus accumulated depreciation gives you residual value. Year 3, 140, your cost is 900, your accumulated depreciation is now 420. If you wanted to quickly figure that out, you could just take 140 times 3 years and then subtract that. That is your book value. Everybody remember this number. We'll use this later on, but that's how you complete the schedule for straight line. Okay? All right, now let's go over units of output. It's the exact same numerator as straight line, exact same. So cost minus residual value, remember, salvage is the same meaning. Cost minus residual value divided by the life in the units. I always tell students in class and traditional, always look for the largest non-dollar figure in the problem. That will be your denominator for units of output. So the rate, this is step number 1. You first determine the rate. Step number 2, you're going to take the rate that you determined and multiply it by the number of units used during the year. And that will equal your depreciation expense. Okay? All right, so let's do it for your problem. So again, exact same. The numerator is exactly the same. You take 900,000, you subtract 60,000, the residual value. However, so this is step 1. You're going to find the life in the units. All right, so you look at the problem, the life in the units. It's a coal mine. So they're saying 6 million tons. All right, so make sure your numbers do not transpose numbers. 900,000 minus 60,000 divided by 6 million tons equals 14 cents. Okay, equals 14 cents. Next, you are going to take the 14 cents. You're going to take, you look in the problem, what are they saying that they figured for tons of coal? Year 1, they're estimating that they will take out 700,000 tons of coal from the coal mine. So you're just going to take the 700,000 times the 14 cents. Your depreciation expense equals 98,000 for the first year. Here's your column again. You've got cost. It's the first year, so depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation are exactly the same. You haven't depreciated yet. So take cost minus accumulated depreciation. That's how you get the net book value for year 1. Go to number 2. Remember, it's 14 cents. Take the cost, 1,000,004 times 14 cents. You get 196,000. Take the cost, subtract out the accumulated depreciation. Now watch the accumulated depreciation. We had 98,000 in this year. We're going to add the 196. That's the depreciation expense for this year. So our accumulated depreciation is 294. To get the net book value, take the 900,000 minus the 294, and that gives you 606. You go to year 3, you take the 1,000,006, multiply it by 14 cents. That gives you depreciation expense for year 3 of 224,000. You're going to take the cost. You will subtract out the accumulated depreciation, and that gives you the net book value. Remember, how do you get accumulated depreciation? It's going to be the year before plus this depreciation expense, and that gives you accumulated depreciation. There's your net book value. Keep working all the way down, all right? So look at, I have posted the solution into Blackboard. Remember this number though, okay? We want to remember this number. That's year 3, and by the time you're done, this is your units of output. Okay, I am going to erase now. Here's why. I'm going to show you the more difficult, so I'm going to erase this. I couldn't fit it all on this board. All right, so I'm going to erase this. This is not straight line anymore. I'm changing it. This is going to be double, and this is C now. This is C. This is going to be double declining balance. Okay? All right. Let's set up the schedule first. So you've got the year, and then you have your beginning net book value, all right? So BV stands for book value. Next, you'll have your double declining balance percent. Next, you'll have depreciation expense. Next, you'll have end of year accumulated depreciation. And last, I'm hoping I'm going to fit this. This is accumulated depreciation. And last, you're going to have end of year BV. That's your book value. Okay? When you look at different accounting books, everybody sets it up maybe a little differently, but you're still going to get that same answer. Okay, so the first thing we're going to determine is the rate. All right? So to get the rate will always be, and let me do this in red so you can really see this. To get the rate, can't get the cap off. All right, so to get the rate, you are going to take the number 1 always. You will divide by the number of years, and you'll multiply by 2. Okay, I'm going to point this out. I completed this problem from the text. I saw the answers in the solutions from the publisher, and it's a little off because of rounding. So the publisher shows you that the rate is 33%. Here's what's confusing. When you work in the textbook and you check your answers, they don't round their rate. So the rate ends up being like 0.3333333. So they don't round the rate. I want to point this out to you because when I first did it, I saw their answers and I did it as 33%. Well, when you do, you won't end up to 300,000. You'll end up to 297. So always read the problem. Where are they saying to round? If I was testing in class, of course I would tell you where to round, but I have to teach it so that you can do these problems in the lab. So when you work in the lab, do not round your rate. Not on all of the problems. Read the problem, because by the time I test, I might pick a problem with this particular problem says to round the rate to 2 places. Okay, so I can't stress that enough. All right, so let me show you. So here's what you start with. Let me put my red marker down. All right, so you're going to start with your check. All right, let me go over here. This is your check. Never go over the total accumulated depreciation. So when you work on these problems, do not go over the following number. Let me show you that. So you're going to take the cost minus the residual value. This is not book value. This is telling you the total amount you will depreciate this asset. And this is your total accumulated depreciation. This is your check. All right, so this problem, let me do it in red so you can really see it. 900,000 minus 60,000 equals 840,000. Do not go over 840,000. All right, let me show you this, okay? So do that first whenever you do double declining, and then you won't over depreciate the asset. All right, so we start with the cost. Next thing I want you to write in your notes. When you do double declining, do not take into account salvage value in the first few years. It doesn't happen until the very end. Well, that's not true with straight line or units output. We took into account salvage value right away. Do not do that with double declining. Salvage value will come into play at the very end. All right, so now we take just the cost. One more time, do not subtract salvage value. Multiply it by the rate, not round it, okay? You're going to come up to 300,000. Remember, if you round the rate to two places, you're not going to come out the same as the publisher. All right, so this is our depreciation expense. This is the first year. Our end of year accumulated depreciation is exactly the same. All right, always, I'm going to point this, always go back to the cost, subtract out the accumulated depreciation, and that gives you 600,000. That's year one. Okay, we go to year two. Now, it's no longer cost, it's book value. So what's our book value? Our book value is 600,000. Just bring that number right down. Multiply it by 0.33333, whatever it is. And that is 200,000. That's the rate, not rounded. Okay, here's our depreciation expense for year two. We add the prior year. 300 plus 200 gives us 500,000. To get the book value, watch, go all the way back to the cost, 900,000, subtract out the accumulated depreciation, and that gives us 400,000 for year two. We go to year three. We begin, again, our book value comes right down. We multiply it by the rate, 0.33333. Okay, just don't round the rate. 133,333, round to the nearest dollar. We're going to take 500,000, our accumulated depreciation from the year before, plus our depreciation expense, and that will give us our accumulated depreciation for year three. Okay, we're going to go all the way back to cost, 900,000, subtract out 633,333, and that gives us 266,667. We go to year four, we just bring down our book value. To be careful not to transpose a number. All right, very easy to do that with all these numbers, so take your time. 266,667 times, supposed to be 33%. Again, the software did not round the number, so it's 0.333333, and that gives you 88,889. Take accumulated depreciation from the year before, plus the depreciation expense for this year, and we've got accumulated depreciation of 722,222. We're going to go all the way back to cost, 900,000, subtract out our accumulated depreciation, and then we get 177,778. We're getting there, everybody. We go to year five, 177,778. We multiply it. 0.33333. Okay, 59,259. Okay. All right, I got to be careful so you can really see this. All right, now, when I teach in class, students always say to me, Professor Clay, when do I stop? How do I know when to stop? Always eye in that number. Remember, we're checking. Are we adding to 840 yet? Not yet. So we're going to take 722,222. We add in 59,259, and we get 781,481. All right, we're getting close. Okay. All right. So if we took, all right, well, let's get the book value. So we take 900,000 minus 781,481. That gives us 118,519. All right, so now year 6, we just bring it down, 118,519. If we multiplied it by the rate, we'll be wrong. Okay, we have to plug that last number because we have to equal exactly 840,000. If we multiplied this by the rate, we wouldn't get it. Okay, so let me do it in red again. How do we do it? We're going to take the 840,000. Let me erase that. And I'm going to subtract the 781, 481. Okay? And when I subtract those two, 840 minus 781, 481, that gives me my plug, 58,519. That's my plug. Okay? And when I do, I go over here, so now I'm going to plug it, I'm going to star it, 58,519. When I do, I take 781, 481 plus 58,519. That gives me 840. Now, you're always still left, what's still left when we did straight line and when we did units of output, always is the salvage value. So you take 900,000 minus the 840, and that gives you 60,000. You were always left with the salvage value. Okay? All right. I'm going to erase because this problem has you do one more step. All right. And let me read what they say in the book. Okay? All right. So, here's what it says. Curtis Cole sells the mining machine for $450,000 at the end of year 3. What is the gain or loss on the sale under each of the depreciation methods? Okay, so they sold it in year 3. That's very important. All right, so I circled straight line and I circled units of output. So now let's circle double declining. Here's the book value on year 3 for double declining. Okay, so this is D. We've got depreciation methods. We've got straight line. We've got units of output. And we have double declining balance. Okay? All right, so the selling price for each of the methods, it doesn't matter. The selling price they said was $450,000. So they sold the asset at the end of 3 years for $450,000, no matter which depreciation method they used. Now here's where it's going to matter. The net book value at the end of year 3, okay? All right, straight line, the end of year 3 was $480,000. Well, I can tell right now I got a problem. My selling price was $450. My book value was $480. I have a loss. So that is a gain slash loss. Loss they have in brackets, in parentheses, sorry. 30,000. Put that in parentheses or the lab will mark you wrong. All right, next we go to units output. The book value was $382,000. Well, that's good. I can eye it. So I got $450,000 cash. My book value is $382,000. I take the difference between the two. I have a $68,000 gain. That's a gain. All right, and then my last one, double declining, I just look up the board above 266. Don't transpose a number. I feel your pain. Sometimes I do it as well. All right, you're going to take the difference between the two. This is going to be good too. You have 183, 333. That's a gain on the sale of that asset. Okay? And that is the different depreciation methods. The most difficult is double declining. Do that check that I taught you. You will plug it. Either the usually happens in either the year before the last year or the last year. Okay, so just keep track of it every single period. All right? All right, I'll see you soon for another video.